All right, good evening, Broken for This family. Thank you for being here. God is good. And I like having this over my shoulder, man. This is just our kitchen. And it really does have Thankful and Blessed sitting over my shoulder. And I was like, that's perfect for this. So I was thinking how I was going to change the studio around a little bit, but I like that being there. I don't know about you. Welcome to Broken for This. This is the place where we help you to heal, learn, grow, and help others, no matter what you've been through. There is a way through. This is a place where you don't have to be ashamed of who you are or what you've been through. You can absolutely come through it shining. And today I am bringing on a dear sister of mine. And I'm going to let her introduce herself, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I'm really, really excited to bring my friend April on. She really embodies what Broken for This is all about. Not being defined by a difficult chapter in your life, but finding joy and peace and hope and purpose. She's one of the most inspirational people I know, somebody who inspires me and builds me up. We've known each other for the last 5 years, but it feels like it's been a lifetime that we've been brother and sister. It is my honor to bring to you the CEO and founder of Angels Haven and my sister, April Chambers. Come on, April, say hello to the people.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It is such an honor
I got my sister on my
I got my
channel.
brother from another mother on tonight. I have been blessed and had the privilege of knowing David Collins, Pastor Collins, for 5 years. We came into each other's lives not at the most greatest time in the world, but it was definitely a setup.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, April froze on me.
Am I back?
There you are. You're back. You're back. Good.
The devil don't want this to take place, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. As I was saying, we came in each other's lives at a time where we didn't even know we needed each other. We didn't know each other. It was during the pandemic. It was a year of loss for me, literally, from job to car to fiance to best friend, to even being normal in the world. And David at the time and I were in a class, and he was a family member of a really good friend of mine, and we connected. And then all of a sudden, I don't know where this daily noon prayer call came from, but let me tell you, that prayer call changed my entire life. I am literally alive because of that prayer call, because there were so many things happening all at once. And I'm telling you, let's just be transparent. I didn't even want to be here. I don't mean just be in the house. I'm talking about be on the earth. I had literally just lost my fiance. My best friend passed a month after my fiance. I lost my job because of the pandemic. And then it was a thunderstorm and my car hydroplaned and my car totaled. So we had no job, no car, no fiance, no best friend. I thought I had nothing, even though I had beautiful children. I think 3 grandbabies at the time. I've had 5 now, praise God.
Yeah.
I was waddling in self-pain and self-pity, and I thought I didn't have anything to live for, but through God's grace and mercy and through the mouthpiece of David Collins and those other people on that line that I could just name, Amy and Sister Diane and Sister Pritchett and Deacon Harold, and I mean the list goes on, Shelley and some of the other people we met along the way. It gave me something to get up for.
Me too.
You know, I look forward to 12 o'clock. I was counting down the minutes to that prayer call, and we cried together, we laughed together, we talked together. We didn't always talk about ministry. We talked about life. And we were just able to survive what was going on at that time. And so I thank God for you and your wife, the beautiful first lady, the only lady, Colin. And so I met David about 2 years ago. But it felt like we had known each other for years. And he drove up to be our keynote speaker at our annual Domestic Violence Awareness Month brunch.
Yeah, that was the first time we met in person. That's crazy.
It was crazy, but I'm talking, we had prayer calls, late night calls, early calls, you name it, calls, FaceTime. They literally had, like, what do you call that thing when everybody gets together to get you up? What do you call that?
Like an intervention?
Okay, well, it was an intervention because when my best friend I text the group and said, I'm not coming on the prayer call and I'm not going to Lolisa's funeral.
Yeah.
I don't know
that.
Who called who, but all of a sudden there was like, you have to call in right now. It's an emergency. And so of course I'm thinking, what in the world? And I said, what the hell back then? I was like, I didn't know if something had happened. So of course I got online and they started praying for me. And next thing I knew, I was in the bathroom, washing my face, getting dressed. And one of the ladies stayed on the line with me the entire trip to the church for me to go to that funeral. And I thank God that I went. It was a beautiful service. I would have probably regretted not going. So it's just so many stories I could talk about, how David and just David alone has been an encouragement to my soul, and just praying and just support. And sometimes he would just text, not even knowing what he was doing for my life. And so I've said it again. I'm going to say it publicly on YouTube and whoever's listening. He is a blessing from God. And I thank God that you accepted your call to ministry. And I thank you for being the man of God that you are, the example that you are. And I thank God for your life. I thank God that you keep going, even when you don't want to, even when you don't feel like it, even when physically you haven't been able to, you still press your way. Even on one leg, on the scooter, he presses his way. So the state of Georgia is lucky to have you. Your church family is lucky to have you as a pastor. You would never know that you were just called to preach a couple of years ago. I thank God for your growth. I can't wait to see what God has in store for you. And I just thank you. I just wanted to do that first. And I want to give you your flowers now because tomorrow's not promised. And I need the people in my life, especially you, to know how much you mean to me and that I love you. I care for you. I'm here for you. And it is an honor to be your guest on this platform and for you to allow me to share my story.
Of course.
It is, it's a journey that I've been on for a little over 24 years. I know I don't look like it, but I am a grandmother of 5 and a mother of 2 adult children, a boy and a girl. I have 4 grandsons and 1 granddaughter who I love dearly. But when my daughter was about 13 years old and my son was about 4, I was in a horrific, horrible, abusive marriage relationship. And let me just start out saying, I didn't know anything about the red flags, the yellow flags, the orange flags, no flag. I just thought I was in love. And what it was is that I was looking for love in all the wrong places because I didn't know what love was. I didn't love myself. Wasn't taking care of my mind, body, and spirit. There were no David Collins of the world. There were no Havens of the world. I thought I was in this fight alone. And so it started out just, and here's a red flag. I was told he was an abuser. And I was told he was hellacious and he was demonic and all of the above.
Really?
But I thought I could love the hell out of him, literally. Okay? I thought I could change him. I apparently thought I was God. I thought I could save him. And I thought that I could make him change and that I could love him enough to want to be better and do better. And it did not. And I didn't, when you date, you're supposed to be collecting data. And so I didn't realize that, he came from an abusive household and he watched his mom get beat and that he was molested as a child. And I didn't know he suffered from bipolar and on and on and on and on. Those things weren't diagnosed until years later. So I didn't know about the warning signs. Of course, we know them now. And at first, it just started with yelling and it started with punching holes in the wall. And I thought it was cute because back then we had a beeper, honey. We didn't have no cell phones. I thought it was cute, that he would page me like 15 times and wanted to know my whereabouts and always wanted to know where I was, what I was doing, who I was with, when I was going to come back, and on and on and on. And always wanted me to be around him and isolated me from my friends to the point where I just thought he loved me so much that he just wanted me all to himself. No, it was called he wanted to isolate me from friends and family so he could manipulate my mind.
Let me ask you this, April. As you look back on yourself now, it's funny because I when we look back at ourselves with this new mind, with these new experiences, things are obvious to us that weren't then. What are some things about you? What are some like you touched on it real briefly that you didn't think that you loved yourself in the way that you do now? Tell me a little bit about how you saw yourself and how that contributed to your not only getting into an abusive relationship, but staying in one. What are some things that you've learned about yourself, maybe through the benefit of hindsight?
Well, because one, I was the only child and my mom was a single mom to a certain extent. And she was trying to take care of the household. And at one point was trying to take care of my stepdad, who she loved, dearly. And he left her for another woman. And then she literally almost lost her mind. And just to be very honest, I didn't get any attention. And so I didn't feel loved. As the only child, I felt neglected. I felt not heard. I felt not cared about. And those things weren't true. My mother loved me. She loved me the way she knew how. And she didn't have a good relationship with her mom. And her mom didn't give her any attention. It was just kind of in the house, just taking care of the bills and making sure we ate and did our homework and clothes were clean and so on and the bills were paid. But there weren't any conversations. So I wasn't able to talk to her about my day. And I wasn't able to tell her I got raped in the 12th grade and that I had to have an abortion. So I thought because I was raped and I didn't want to bring a child into the world. And so I dealt with that guilt and that trauma because I felt like I didn't have anybody to go to and talk to. So I took that into other relationships, right? So I thought that's what love was. And then my mom became verbally abusive unknowingly, right? And a little bit of physical abuse because she thought that's what discipline was. And so I didn't understand what love really looked like. My stepdad was a womanizer. He was a provider, but he was a womanizer. So I didn't see love in the house. And I didn't have a pop, right? I didn't have a grandfather. I didn't have my real father was a drug addict. And I didn't know him. He died when I was 10, but I never knew him. First time I saw him was looking at him in a casket. And so, and that's another thing men look at with women. They look for women. Hear me, ladies who are listening to this. They look for women who don't have a strong male presence. If you want to know that I'm telling the truth, pay attention to the P. Diddy case with Cassie.
Ooh, Jesus.
Okay? And the things that she was saying, that she was 20 years old and he was almost 40.
Yeah, 19 and 36.
Did you ever hear her talk about her dad? Did you talk about her big brothers or her uncle or her granddad? Trust me, P, whoever his name he want to call himself, Sean Puffy Combs, whatever, wouldn't have looked for her if those people were in her life. He wouldn't have groomed her to do the things that she did. So many people I get so tired of. Well, why didn't she just leave? She was a willing participant. She was a consenting adult. No, sir. No, ma'am. He groomed her to be that person and he isolated her. Okay, of course she saw the lights and the money and so on, but she didn't have a choice. You saw in the video, and I won't talk about this much longer, you saw in the video when she was trying to escape, how he grabbed her by her hair and beat her in the hallway of a hotel. That's her trying to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't have a voice. And this is why I started the support group 5 years ago, is to give women and men, because let's be clear, let's be honest. Men are being abused too, verbally,
Mm-hmm.
mentally, emotionally, and sexually. There is sexual harassment in the workplace with more men than it is women, statistics says. Men
Mm-hmm.
are just ashamed to talk about it. But men are being verbally abused. They're being physically abused because they don't want to tell their homeboys that their girlfriend is going upside their head
Mm-hmm.
and talking to them and taking their money in their bank account, and they don't have a say so in the house. Okay, that's because they haven't been taught what love is, and what real love is. And this is why we have to continue having these type of platforms to educate the community on abuse and
That's why we're
emotional
here.
abuse. Yes. And so this is a blessing. I wish I had a platform that I could have gone on YouTube and said, "Ooh, that's me," and then
Mm.
source and counseling and a support group that I could get into and get in counseling. If I had, even if I had got counseling when I left my abuser, I didn't. I didn't get my children counseling. All I knew to do then was to leave. But I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what to do once I left. Even though it
Yeah.
was sometimes a horrible experience, it was a two-income household. It wasn't always abuse. I had to learn how to be a single mom and take care of the bills and the finances, and to learn how to take care of two children by myself. I didn't know how to do that. I was emotionally
Mm.
distraught, and I didn't until I was honest enough with my pastor, like Pastor Collins, who had a zero tolerance for domestic violence, went in and got me and my daughter out of the home.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? I went back after that. Because statistics say, and I'm a living witness, that you sometimes will leave 4 to 7 times before you
Mm.
your abuser, because they sweet talk you. It's a cycle. They'll sweet talk you, and I love you, and I'll and buy you roses and furs and diamonds and what Chanel bags or MCM or
Whatever.
Gucci, whatever. And they dangle these things in front of you, and then you accept them thinking, okay, it's going to be better. He's not
Right.
going to do it again until the next time. And so I believed that, because I believed he would get better. I wanted him to get better. Trust me,
Yeah.
I didn't want to end my family. I wanted my family to stay together. That's why I stayed as long as I did, because I didn't want to break up the home. I thought one day he would get help, and he did not. He did. He has now. He's a wonderful husband
Mm-hmm.
and a wonderful father and pop to my grandson.
That's
And so
wonderful.
I thank God for that. But he got counseling and he did the work. I eventually went to counseling and I did the work. And so I was able to heal. And then every time I talk about it, it's therapeutic. Is it triggers
Mm-hmm.
sometimes? Yes. But it is therapeutic to talk about it, to not hold that stuff on the inside and think I have to deal with it by myself. I thought I was the only one going through. I didn't even know it was domestic violence. I'm
Mm-hmm.
by myself, and then I was ashamed, and I didn't want to tell anybody. And at first, then people, well, why you just don't leave?
Mm-hmm.
I left because I thought I didn't have anywhere to go, which is why I want to open up a transitional home for battered women and children, so that they don't have to go into a shelter. They can go into a home that they can feel safe, and they can be taught how to survive, and not just survive domestic violence, but conquer it. You know, and so it's been a long journey. And so I promise God that if he got me out alive and a little bit of, as my granny would say, a portion of my right mind, if I could get
Mm-hmm.
out alive, I promise God that I would spend the rest of my life helping other women and men, because back then
Mm-hmm.
you didn't hear of men going through going through domestic violence. But
So true.
and so I did start the nonprofit 5 years ago, but I've been doing the work. I just decided to start a nonprofit, hoping I could get federal funding, only so that I could get federal funding, so that one day I can open up this transitional house, so there can be a safe place for women and their children to go to. And so now I'm actually a certified life coach, and so I'm helping others heal through talking and through workshops and through breathing exercises. And I have a weekly support group on Zoom every Wednesday at 6:30. I also do a monthly support group every last Saturday of each month on Zoom. And I'm having different people teach. Last week we had a counselor because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I had a counselor
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday. And then next Wednesday, we have financial planning expert. We're doing a webinar. And then on the fourth Wednesday, we're doing grief counseling. I have a grief counselor coming on. And then
Beautiful.
the first Wednesday in June, it's called the House of Ruth here in Maryland, and it's legal. So they're going to be talking about escape planning because I didn't have any
Oh,
plan.
wow.
Women and men, when you are leaving, especially women, you have to have an escape plan. It is very
Yeah.
dangerous to just think you can leave. You have to have a plan. There's things in place. So please join us on, I think, June 4th for escape planning. Some of the things you want to have in place is a bag packed at a friend's house. You want to have all of your documents in a safe place in case you have to leave. You have your passport and your credit cards and your social security and birth certificates for your children and important papers. Either have them Xeroxed or have them in a safe place. And you want to have a keyword so that if you call or text someone, a lot of people do pretend like they're calling Pizza Hut.
Mm-hmm.
And you call your friend and you say, hey, can you order me a pizza?
Mm-hmm.
And right now, if you call 911 and say you're ordering a pizza, is this Pizza Hut? They know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are certain things in place that we have to do. You can't just leave and you got to take your locations off your phone and not be videoing, your whole route to where you're going, because
Right.
they can, that it's called cyberbullying, where this is how they track you because you don't know that you have your location on, and or they have put tracking devices in your pocketbooks, in your cars. Yeah, air tags. Yes, come on.
Mm-hmm.
They are putting air tags in your car and you don't even know you're being tracked. And so they know your whereabouts. They
Yeah.
know where you are. And so this is why I educate, our community, because people don't know. They don't know that they've
Mm-hmm.
already shared their location on their phone. See, I share my location with my daughter because she needs to know in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting in the dating world. Lord have mercy, help me. And so I know where I am, and I have her location because you never know what happens. And so, but you don't know when people can take your phone and they hack into your phone and figure out where you are and what you're doing. So there's so much to this domestic violence piece. I could go on
Yeah.
and on, but let me just talk about a little bit about the signs where I shared in the beginning that it wasn't always physical.
Right.
He would just talk to me harsh and yell at me. And because I was kind of used to that at home, I
Mm.
thought that was okay. And I thought that's what love was. You know why? Because after the beating or the smack or the harsh words or being called a bitch or the tears came hugs and kisses
Mm.
and dinners and flowers and candy. Cadaver was my favorite back then. And
Mm-hmm.
then the good attention came. And so, to be very honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to the beatings because I knew I was going to get some loving after. Not,
Wow.
yeah, not sexual, but I was going to get a hug and I was going to get an embrace and I was going to get attention and I would get, I'm sorry. And he would be good for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and sometimes a couple of months. But trust me, it was coming. And so,
Wow.
your mind gets conditioned to this is what I am worthy of. And I thought that's all I deserved. I don't think that way now. I know that I am fearfully and wonderfully made now. I know that I am
Yeah.
made in his image. I know that I am royalty because my daddy is a king. So I
Mm-hmm.
set boundaries. I know what no is now. I know how
Mm-hmm.
to shoot a gun. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
I got a baseball bat. I'm not saying, resort to that, but I am not afraid to stand up for myself. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'm not afraid to call 911. I'm not afraid to call my big brother, because I know if I needed to, David would get in his car or get on a plane real quick.
Hey, it ain't nothing but a thing. Don't
And I
make me.
know he's
Hey.
around. So we're going to leave it right there. But, but so I have a strong male presence in my life now, but I didn't, and I didn't know what love was, and I didn't know what self-respect was, and I didn't know what self-love was, and I didn't know what self-care was, and I didn't know what mental therapy was, and I didn't know that I needed it. And I didn't know that I didn't have to accept that behavior. And I didn't know that I'm sorry came with changed behavior.
It should, every time.
Because those are words. We're looking for a difference. So if you say I'm sorry for calling me a bitch, and then you turn around and call me I'm sorry, bitch. What is that? And so, but there are so many women who don't understand their worth. They haven't been taught what their worth are. And they're not in an environment where their pastors are telling them that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that they are not a doormat, and that they don't have to be walked all over. And so I implore you, ladies and men, to get in an environment and to get with someone who can help you through and it's not, don't be ashamed, men or women. Be ashamed to stay in it. Don't be ashamed to want to get out and not know how. It's okay. Because this is why we're here. We have plenty of resources. I don't care what state you're in. There's plenty of help out here. And we can teach you how to love yourself. We can show you what self-care is. It's a matter of getting in the bathtub, lighting a candle, playing some nice jazz music, breathing to calm your nerves, to get yourself relaxed. It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't even take any money. But there are ways that you can calm yourself down, and it's YouTube, like we're here today. You can go back and look at this over and over and go, hey, that's me. Oh, wait a minute. He does throw plates and shoes. Sometimes they just throw things at you. Sometimes they take your things. They break up your things. This man would cut my clothes, throw bleach on my clothes, break up my stuff. And that was just to put fear in me, right? And so I was afraid to leave. I was afraid to feel. I was numb. And I just thought, this is what it is. This is what it's going to be. And this is how the rest of my life, 15 years I stayed in an abusive relationship, not knowing my worth, not knowing I deserved better, not knowing I could do better. And then when I finally left, it took almost 10 years for me to trust the love of my life and my soulmate that I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what love felt like. I didn't know what it was. I didn't believe it. I started arguments because that's the only way I knew how to communicate. I thought everything was an argument. I thought he was against me, and I would start argument, and he would stop me every time. He was like, April, I'm not him. Disagree. But this is not an argument, sweetheart. We're just talking.
But you didn't know how to do that. You didn't have that skill set then.
But he taught me quick. He was like, bring it down a notch, little lady.
And here's something that I've noticed, if you don't mind. I have a question about so talk to me about your son and daughter and how that has been, because I'm the child of, my father was abusive to my mother, and I was in an abusive in my first marriage. I was one of those men who was verbally and physically abused. So not only does it impact the spouse, but the children are impacted too. And one of the things that's so impressive about you, April, is that you have a whole family approach to what you're doing now with Angels Haven. And I, got to meet your daughter, and your granddaughter and stuff like that. So talk to me a little about, what that journey has been like as it relates to your kids and maybe even grandkids, because they've been hearing grandma talk about stuff that a lot of people don't hear their grandmas talk about. So what's the family side of this like?
Well, let me tell you, the dynamic with that is, and this is why I said early on, is that I wish I had one, gotten myself counseling. I wish I
Mm-hmm.
had gotten my daughter counseling. And even though my son was 4 and 5 at the time, I wish I had got him counseling.
Yeah.
Because when we left, I did get him counseling. I had to get him in play therapy because of the transition from being in the home with both of his sisters at the time and
Mm-hmm.
being in the house with dad to just being in the house with me and one sister. I wasn't allowed to take my
Mm.
stepdaughter with me. And as a result of that, she thought I abandoned her. She thought I didn't want her. Okay. And so that relationship never did get repaired. And so
Oh,
my daughter,
be praying about that. I pray y'all can that maybe one day.
yes. And so as a result of that, my daughter and I didn't have a good relationship because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't present, right? I was in the house, but I wasn't present. I
Yeah.
wasn't emotionally present for my daughter. And in
But
my,
she's so present for you now, and you're
but,
so present for her
but,
now. So how
but,
did that change?
but because we learned how to talk and communicate, right? We've had to rebuild our relationship, and it is a
Mm-hmm.
daily task. And I thank God for my daughter, one, for giving me, for two, for communicating to me how she felt and how I made her feel, and the damage that I caused my child by keeping her in an abusive household from the time she was a baby up until she was 14 or 15 years old.
Wow.
And what I will say, and I won't go into a lot of detail, my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
as a result of what she saw me accept, it gave her the idea that men wasn't for her. And I'll leave it there.
Mm. Changed her. It affected her identity.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. And
That's
plus
real.
there was a lot of porn in the house. I wasn't aware that she
Mm.
found, and she got into certain um watching certain videos that, and this is why parents, you have to be very careful what goes in the ear gates of your children. Be very mindful
Mm-hmm.
of these rap songs that they are listening to and what they're seeing in front of them. Porn
Mm.
and these explicit uh R movies that are not for, when it says 16 and under, you should be very mindful that your children shouldn't be looking at nudity and hearing certain
Mm-hmm.
words. And so
Yeah.
as a result of the abuse of a resort of things that were going on in the household that I wasn't even aware of, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that my daughter had a different perspective. And as David said, she had an identity crisis. And now she's in love with her wife, and they
Mm-hmm.
have 2 beautiful children. And she does have a child by um, her former boyfriend. But I have 2 beautiful grandsons that are, and they're parents to these beautiful children of mine. And so this again, I believe she probably wouldn't admit it, as a result of that,
Mm-hmm.
a result of her watching her mother not be loved and me not loving on her the way I was supposed to. That I almost put him first, which is why I didn't like my mother, because she put my stepfather first. So I turned the circle around. But let me tell you this, my daughter has changed the cycle. And this is why we work very hard on the relationship that we have, and we build each other up. And she's my rock. She's my everything. She's my best friend. And we are there for each other. But it's work. It's work. Any
Mm-hmm.
relationship is work. And we work on trying to have a beautiful relationship where we can talk about anything, and how she was able to tell me, as an adult, how it made her feel to live in a house with an abuser, and to watch me, with the black eyes and the bloody nose and the busted eardrum and the bruised ribs and the broken ribs and the fractured foot, and taking pliers to my private parts, top and bottom. I'm gonna leave it there.
Jesus.
Being submerged underwater, being smothered with a pillow, being choked under my neck till my feet are dangling till I passed out.
Jesus.
The physical abuse was real, to my hand being placed over a fire on the stove, to my hand being burnt, to my finger being bit till you saw the skin. I have marks on my body now.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you, scars show where I wrote this down. Scars only show where you have been, not where you're going.
I'm going to put that in the chat. Scars only show where you have been,
Not where you're going.
where you're going. That's beautiful.
Okay, and let me tell you, it takes strength to survive. And so if the enemy had had it his way, I would have been taken out a long time ago, either through my ex, or I was in a near fatal car accident, 2010. I was 2 weeks away from becoming a licensed minister. Ooh, in 2010, I told the Lord, I am not prepared for this. I cannot memorize, and I am not going to, I'm out. I'm not preaching. I'm not doing none of this. So the Lord said, well, all right. Now, mind you, he did not cause this accident.
Right.
But the Bible says that the weapon shall form, but it shall not prosper. He didn't say it wouldn't form. He said it will not prosper. And so I broke every bone on the left side of my face. I broke my nose. I broke my jaw. Every bone on the left side, my foot was broke, and my eye came out of my socket. And the doctor said that I would be deformed and that I wouldn't see out of my left eye. Well, I have on glasses, but I'm here to tell you, I have 20/20 vision in my left eye. I have 6 titanium plates, and I have a little scarring. And so the devil was a liar. So he should have taken me out when he could, but he couldn't, and he didn't. And so I call myself Joe Best, because I've had everything taken away, but God said, you can't touch her life. She's mine. She's mine. And so God did allow it. And I can tell you, I almost died at a tree, but it made me understand that I died at a tree. I almost died at a tree, but Jesus died on the tree. Okay. So that I would live and not die. And even if I had died June 24th, 2010, I would have lived forever in paradise with Jesus, because I had accepted him as my Lord Jesus Christ, as my Savior. And so, like I said, between my husband, between the car accident, God, the enemy has been trying to steal my joy. But what I've learned is to praise my way through, and to grow through, and not just go through. I had to grow through those experiences. Those experiences made me the woman I am today. I would have loved to have read about it. I have thousands of books. My support group is reading a book right now called Self-Love, the workbook. And we work in this workbook once a month. I would have loved to have read about abuse. But I don't think I would have been effective to someone going through abuse to just say I have a degree and I'm a licensed therapist, but I can't identify with your pain. I read about it. And so I thank God, believe it or not, for those experiences. I thank God that he allowed me to live, to tell the story. And I thank God for healing from the inside out. Had I not had the accident, I never would have got therapy. They thought I had PTSD, and I was dealing with childhood trauma. And with the accident. And so I learned to deal with those emotions and to make peace with my past. to forgive my abuser, because that
That's
is,
huge.
yeah, I had to. It was to a point where I said it because it sounded good, but in my heart, I hated that man and prayed he died every day. Let's be
So
real.
talk about why you think that was an important part of your healing, forgiving the person who abused you. Why was that?
It was
Because
a
I know a lot of people who are like, man, I could never do that. I don't want people to think that it's okay. I'm gonna hold a grudge. Why do you think that was such a pivotal part of your
I was
healing
looking
journey?
for something down here. I'm gonna grab this rock. Let's pretend like that. Now this is a gift that was given to me. It says, "For thou art my rock and my fortress; therefore thy name sake lead me and guide me." Psalm.
Mm-hmm.
So let's pretend this is a big boulder
Mm-hmm.
on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
When you forgive, it starts lifting
Mm-hmm.
that heaviness off of you. Eventually, you put the rock down, and it's peace.
Ooh, Tara Grant's in the chat. She says, "Oh, my cousin, she is amazing. Look at God. Love you, my first cousin." And Sister Diane Pridgeon says, "Yes, Lord."
So I'm gonna tell you. Thank you, Tish. That's my lovely cousin in Connecticut, where I was born. She's on tonight watching. But forgiveness is very important, and it's not for the abuser. It's for you. It's for you
Mm-hmm.
able to move past the hurt and to let go of that pain. And it's hard. It doesn't happen. I don't know who said it happens overnight, because it did not. It does not. It's
Oh.
time. But it was to a point where whenever I would hear my ex-husband's voice, do y'all know how that sounds when you put your fingernails on the chalkboard? Yes, y'all see my face. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I felt every time I heard or saw him. My skin would cringe, and I would get angry, and I literally believe my skin would. I believe my blood would boil.
Mm-hmm.
I had hatred in my heart. And so I said that, how do I expect the Lord to forgive me if I can't forgive? Who am I? Who am I? So I've had to forgive him. I've had to forgive plenty of people in my life, but the hardest thing was forgiving him. But when I was
Mm-hmm.
able to forgive him, it was so much peace in my life. I could talk to him without bitterness and without anger. I've learned how to have compassion. I love him because I'm supposed to. That doesn't mean that I got to get back with him. I have learned to love people from a distance. And because he gets crazy, I hate to say that word, but he gets uppity with me now. But I know how to push the button, leave, the on your phone. I know how to block. Back in the day, you took the phone off the hook. You didn't have no
Yeah.
phone to block. I know how to block you. I know how to disconnect. If I'm in your
Yeah.
presence, I know how to walk away. I didn't know those things. I didn't know what
Healthy
boundaries.
boundaries.
Who knew what was a boundary? A boundary
Mm-hmm.
was somewhere to go, something to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I teach what boundaries are, and you have to learn it, and you have to learn how to respect yourself. And as I said earlier, I didn't value April. I didn't love April. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't look in the mirror and say, "I love you, girl." Every morning I get up in affirmations and I look in my mirror and say, "I love you. You're going to have a good day. You are so worthy. You are worthy of love."
Mm-hmm.
And I look at me, and if nobody says I love you, I say it to me in the mirror every morning when I'm brushing my teeth. That is how I
Oh.
start my day, because I didn't always have anyone to tell me that. So if nobody,
Mm-hmm.
I know that my daddy does.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate love was Jesus Christ dying on the cross for me, hanging and bleeding and dying and staying in that grave 3 years and going to hell and taking the keys and getting the victory.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned how to dance in the rain, through the storm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it takes time. And another person I had to forgive, April.
Yeah.
I had to forgive April. I had to stop beating myself up and saying and blaming myself for all of my children's decisions and for the
Mm.
lack of, or what I didn't do, or what I should have did. I had to forgive him, and then I had to forgive April. It was very important for me to stop beating myself up and blaming myself. Oh, if I had left, then this wouldn't have happened. And if I had left
Yeah.
sooner, I stopped living in the past, and I am just embracing my future.
I'm
You
so
know,
proud of you. Oh
I'm,
my gosh.
let me tell you, I'm proud of me because I didn't always say that. It's not that I am cocky or that I am arrogant, or
Mm-hmm.
but I think highly of myself now because I didn't always. I didn't think I was beautiful. I didn't think I was enough. I thought I was not white enough because that's what I was told. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
tall enough. I wasn't skinny enough. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't enough. And I
Mm.
am enough. And I don't need anybody to tell me I'm enough. I know that I am made in his image. And I know that my daddy is a king, which makes me royalty.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that. I didn't believe that. I said it in church. You know, we say all these things in church, but do we believe it? When we praying, do we believe it's going to be answered?
Mm.
Or are we just in church going through the motions? Are we in church picking up our Bible only on Sunday? I'm not going to preach. I could, but I'm not. I'm going to let David do that. But we have to get down on our knees more when nothing is going wrong than we do when something is wrong.
Mm.
When do we just say, Lord, thank you? When do we just not ask him for anything and just praise him and bless him just for who he is? Because if he never does anything else for me, he has done enough. And I know it's a cliche. If I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't thank him enough for the things he has brought me through. And I'm thankful. And I'm thankful for the experiences that I went through. Do I wish they had never happened? Absolutely. But God
Mm-hmm.
apparently had pain for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I
And you know
was,
that, so
but,
you did something interesting.
but I was
You
broken for this.
hey,
I love it.
I love it. Listen, you did something interesting though. Not only did you heal, but you know you felt driven to be an advocate, to be a helper, to be an interventionist, to be a leader, a mentor, a motivator, to minister to people's needs. Talk about how that factors into your healing. Because I can just say, just as knowing you in the last 5 years, I have watched you grow and bloom and blossom through what you're doing for people. And sometimes you look at you're dealing with difficult subject matter. You know, you're going back and you're dealing with people who who remind you of some of those darkest moments in your life. So talk about, you know, you didn't just survive, you're thriving, and you've chosen to go back and get somebody else. So can you talk about that what motivates you day in and what pushes you to do that?
Well, the reason why I started the monthly group back 5 years ago, it was because of the pandemic, of course, where
Mm-hmm.
we were in the presence of our partner, significant other, 24
Yeah.
hours, 7 days a week for going on 3 years. The world was,
Domestic violence was through the roof then.
and so I knew we couldn't meet in person. I didn't know what a Zoom was, a Teams was. Uh-oh, I don't
Oh,
know.
there you go. You're back. You're back.
And so, as you just said, domestic violence was through the roof. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to provide a safe place for personal bonding that enabled people to talk about what is often felt as an unspeakable experience. I wanted to provide support and encouragement in a safe group and an environment, empowering our participants to live in a renewed freedom of the freedom of life. And
Mm-hmm.
so that support group, you can have your camera on, your camera off. You don't have to have your name. You just need to be present. And at that time, um, I was sharing the information on right after the Steve Harvey show on WHUR, which is it's syndicated here in Maryland. And this young lady reached out to our organization, and her husband, who was in the military, she was in a horrible, horrible marriage and abusive situation. She started coming to groups. I started coaching her, and I wasn't even a life coach at that time, but I was coaching her what to do and what not to do. 3 years later, he has gotten counseling. She has gotten counseling. They have done marriage counseling. He is no longer an abuser, and
Oh, that's
their marriage
beautiful.
has been restored. So let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, every abusive relationship doesn't always end in a divorce or end in death or end in the relationship ending. Sometimes we get the counseling, we do the work, and we're able to restore and rebuild. It's not always the case, but it does happen. It does happen. So understand that just because I had to leave, the Bible says we can separate for a little bit, right? It's biblical that you can separate if you're in agreement and to get yourself together. And so I say that to say, if I hadn't been in position, who knows what would have happened? She was also suicidal, who wanted to end her life, who wanted to end her marriage, and thought that was the only way out. I had no idea I was counseling her, she ended up counseling her husband. He ended up recognizing he had a problem because his father abused his mother. He wanted to break the cycle because he had a daughter, decided to separate, go get his own healing. She went and got her healing. They came together and healed as a couple. And now they are living happily ever after in California.
Oh, I love that. That's
And so I
beautiful.
thank God for using me as an instrument and his mouthpiece. But did I want to do this? You couldn't have told me 20 some odd years ago I would be sitting on some computer on YouTube talking about all I went through. I was trying to hide under the bed and not tell anybody this story. But we help people with our testimonies. The power of a testimony is so instrumental in saving someone's life. This platform that you are allowing guests to come on and tell their story so that women and men can know I am not alone, so that they know there's an out, there's an escape plan, there's ways of doing it. We don't just walk out. I mean, unless you have somewhere to go and you have someone, that is very strong who can, be your protector, but you got to put restraining orders in place, protective orders in place. You got to let people know. And the what I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen out here listening, whenever you listen to this and you see this, tell somebody. Please don't keep it to yourself. My girlfriend was taken from her job, placed in the trunk of her car, driven from Bowie, Maryland to North Carolina to a cornfield, and the car was set on fire with her in the trunk.
Jesus.
Nobody knew it was her baby's daddy, because the only person who knew she was in an abusive situation was April. And we vowed that we wouldn't tell anybody what we were dealing with. The last time I saw her, Nicole Brown Simpson had just got murdered. And what her and I said to each other. And this is why you have the power of life and death in your tongue. The last thing out of her mouth was, I don't want to end up like Nicole Brown Simpson.
But she didn't feel like she could make the change.
And it took almost 6 or 7 months before they even talked to the baby's father, because nobody knew that she was being abused. She would wear a scarf every day because he would take a shoestring and choke her, and she had a permanent red mark around her neck. She always wore long sleeves. I'm giving you people signs and signals. She always wore long sleeves, even in the summertime, and long pants, because her arms would be bruised. Her legs would be bruised. and he would hit her in places that he knew she could hide. She didn't get black eyes, but she had a scarf on every day so you wouldn't see the shoestring mark around her neck. She was always out of work because she couldn't come to work. And so pay attention to your friends and your employees and your church members that don't look at you and that always have a mark and saying, well, I fell down the steps or the ball hit me. Sometimes that's true. But when it's every other week or more than once a month, they're not falling down the steps that often. And for God's sake.
What would you... No, I was just going to say, what would you say to somebody who is in that situation watching right now? You know, whether they're actively in an abusive relationship, or maybe they're just outside of it and just thinking, like you said, you know, that you dealt with feeling not present in the home. What would you say to somebody who's like, hey man, April can do it, but I don't think I'm that strong. I don't see it for me. That seems like a best case scenario. You know, what would you say to somebody who's been where you've been?
The first thing I would say is reach out to me or reach out to Dave.
And I have all the information for Angel's Haven in the description in this video. And that's a good, you know what? I'll pull it up and I'll drop the link in the live chat right now for Angel's Haven.
So the first thing I would say is to get yourself in, talk about it. Tell somebody close to you what is happening, that you trust. But if something happens to you or something like, God forbid, my best girlfriend being murdered, that they know who to go first, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I would do. Tell someone close to you what's happening. I would get in contact if you don't feel comfortable with talking to me. Get in contact with your local domestic violence statewide.
Every state has them.
Every state has them. There are 24-hour hotlines for domestic violence, and we'll put that up. Let me get that information for you right now. Also,
I'm dropping the link in the chat right now so that people can see it. You never know, somebody might be in it right now. But we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to know there's help out there, y'all. That's a big thing. Why I wanted April to be here, guys, because there is help.
Right. And so, again, if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, there are 24-hour hotlines where there's someone on the line who don't know you, but they can offer assistance and tell you where the resources are in your community. And that number is 1-800-799-7233. If you can't remember that, it's 1-800-799-SAFE. You can text, if you can't talk, you can text BEGIN, BEGIN, to 88788. You can text the word BEGIN to the number 88788. And that is the domestic violence 24-hour hotline. So if you can't reach me right away, you don't feel comfortable calling 911, call the 24-hour hotline, text, and they will give you information what to do, how to do it, and where to go. If you feel like you just want to be in a safe space where you just want to vent, cry, or listen, and get resources, please join our support group every Wednesday on Zoom. We're here. I'm here to help you. God allowed me to be alive for a reason, and I promised him this is what I would do. And so we were doing it once a month. We still do it once a month, but the need was so great that some women kind of petitioned me to do it weekly. And so we do it. And so even if it's just me and you on a Wednesday night at 6:30, whether one person shows up or 50, I am there every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Unless it's a holiday, and we make other arrangements for that. But the first thing I would tell you is that you are not alone, to please tell somebody, to please contact me or David or the 24-hour hotline. No, you do not deserve to be treated anything less than what you deserve. That your name is whatever your birth certificate says, that you are not a bitch, that you are not ugly, that you are not fat, that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you are loved, and that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that you do not have to suffer in silence. And love should not hurt.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. I am just, as always, I am inspired. I'm moved. It's just really, and I'm hearing parts of your story that I'd never heard before.
I
But
have stories that can make your head spin, like if you watch
I
the
know
movie
it.
Exorcist.
I know it. But I'm so glad that you've ended in a place where you are healed and healing, and not only that, but you are helping people, and you're being the answer that you wished you had back then.
You have
I just think that's incredible. Just an incredible thing.
And I'm going to tell you something. Any person that's listening to this episode, just understand that if I could do it, 4'11", by myself, almost penniless, left in a Ford Escort. I only took what I could fit in that car with 2 children in the back seat. Let me tell you, when I decided to leave, God opened up so many doors. We lived in a 3-bedroom apartment that the state was paying a part of my rent because there was something called the Back to Work Mothers Program. But the only way I could get in the program was if I was abused. Who knew? I started working at Comcast Cable and won 2 American Express gift cards for $500. And that's how I was able to buy dishes and pots and pans and a mattress. My son and my daughter and I slept on 2 twin mattresses in my bedroom until I was gifted bedroom sets for my children. I got pots and pans. When you make one step and you trust God, and I was going to bring it downstairs, but when you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you make one step and God will make 10. The windows of heaven opened up, and the blessings came down because I walked out on faith, and I did something that my brother taught me. I did it scared.
Yeah.
But I did it.
Yeah.
So,
and that's, Jesus, that's so
ladies
true.
and gentlemen, do it scared, but do it. And just know that you do not have to stay in an abusive situation, verbally, mentally, sexually, financially. Old people are being abused by their children. Parents are being abused by their adult children because they don't know how to tell their children no. They don't know how to call 911 on their children. It's just not being taught them. Pastors are abusing members. We already saw it being done in the churches, whether it be the priest or the pastor. People are afraid to talk about it. You look at, like we were talking about earlier, you look at this P. Diddy case and everybody is trying to shame Cassie. She stayed not because she wanted to. She felt like she didn't have a choice. And that was me. That was me 24 years ago. I felt like I didn't have a choice. If I can say, I haven't shared with you the deepest parts of my marriage when I thought that I had to live in a swingers lifestyle life married. That can be a whole nother subject. So when I tell you I can identify with Cassie because my husband was in a lifestyle that I thought I had to be a part of because this is where I was almost dragged every Friday night.
Jesus.
Where I watched my husband have sex with other women, and I was told that wasn't cheating because I was there and I was watching. So the story hasn't been told. Abuse, you don't know what type of psychological mask that women and men are putting on daily. And then you wonder why sometimes someone is short with you or cut you off in traffic or cuss you out. You don't know what that person is dealing with at home. When you go to church on Sunday, you don't know what it took for her or him to get in that door. You don't know what they're going to deal with when they get back home. You don't know
That's
what
so
they.
key, though, April. That's so key. Is that, and I think I like it. I think it's good that we have that cultural moment going on with the Diddy case. That it is that we need to recognize that everyone who's abused is a child, is a person made in God's image, and we need to love on people the same way we want to be loved on when we're at our lowest moment.
And for God's
And
sake, stop judging. You don't know what
mhm,
she is having have had to deal with. You don't know if her life and her children, her parents' life. You don't know who was threatened. This man blew up her boyfriend's car.
yeah, and so many people knew, so it's just so important. And I'll say this: if you're not in an abusive relationship, you know someone who is, even if you don't know it.
And if you don't know someone, you're going to meet somebody. And I guarantee you, even if you came on this line tonight, or you're looking at this YouTube later, I guarantee you, you're going to meet somebody. This is why this is being aired. I could be dead and dead, as my granny would say, sleeping in my grave, and this will be saved. And this is going to help somebody survive and live.
And I say, if you don't know, if you're maybe you're someone who didn't grow up around domestic violence, and it really does seem like this strange thing to you, and you're having a hard time connecting with this, I would just encourage you to be very kind and very careful what you say, because if there's someone in your life who sends you a link to something that happened in the Diddy case, you don't know if they're sending that to you to gauge your response because they want to talk to you about what they've been through. You don't know. Or maybe they're just thinking about talking to you, and then you say something like, "Oh, that Diddy case is so stupid. That stuff is her fault. She should have done it. She should have. I don't feel bad for her." We have to be mindful of the way we speak.
And even if you feel that way, keep it to yourself. Please keep it to yourself, because this is being aired in I mean, of course, the trial is not where we can visually see it, but so many people on social media are giving us recaps who are in the courtroom, so we're getting a blow by blow. But this is being aired for a reason, right? It's to strike up these conversations, to say, you know what, don't judge that woman because she said she allowed men to pee in her mouth, that she had so many UTIs that the antibiotic wasn't helping her anymore. Right? Don't judge her. Don't judge her. Keep it to yourself, because you don't know what that woman went through. She is married. Her husband is sitting in the courtroom with her. She's 9 months.
Man, I saw his post. It was beautiful. He made a post about it. But that's the difference, though, between being around someone who takes advantage of your vulnerability and then being with somebody who can appreciate and love you. And I'm so glad for her, for Cassie, that she's found that voice and that she spoke up and all this after so long.
But there is healing, and that's a prime example of healing. I wouldn't be surprised that when this case is over and she is taking care of her babies, I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't have her own advocate group where she can speak out and help other women. She doesn't know it, but she's helping women now.
Come on, broken for this, Cassie. Watch this and then call me.
I'm telling you,
come on here.
She doesn't even know that she's helping so many women understand what abuse is, because this is happening.
And on that same thing, on that same topic, one of the things that happened when Cassie spoke up and filed a suit against Diddy, the floodgates opened and people started talking about the last few decades of abuse.
Look at
somebody who didn't.
You got R. Kelly, you got Bill Cosby, and now, Lord have mercy, Smokey Robinson.
I saw that, Lord.
Smoky.
But you just never know, guys. And here's the other thing. Don't think that you know what an abuser looks like. Don't be like, oh, and April, you know, I was a federal agent, you know, working for the Air Force and OSI. And I worked a lot of domestic abuse, it was around a lot of domestic violence kind of situations. And every time I interviewed the friends, family, coworkers of the abuser. They were like, oh my gosh, she's just so nice. I could never see it. I think she's probably just making it up. I just want you to understand that abusive narcissists know how to manipulate people. The reason, like the same energy that keeps a wife in the home and makes her feel like she's nothing can easily be turned around to be the employee of the month and knows how to charm and convince you and gaslight their family. And you'll be thinking, so again, we've been on this topic for a minute, this same place, April, and I just want to foot stomp it.
But the thing is,
believe people.
But because let me tell you, we're on this for a reason. And let me just say this. I'm not gonna share my Instagram because I want clicks, right? Or I want followers. I want you to follow my Instagram page because it's angels_haven. I want you to follow my page because I have definitions of gaslighting versus green lighting. Do y'all even know what that means? Well, go on my IG and look it up. I have definitions of narcissists. I have slides on how to set boundaries without guilt, right? These are some of my topics. I have the 3 C's in life: chances, choices, and changes. You must take a chance to make a choice to change your life. Surround yourself with positivity. Join a supportive online group that uplifts and inspires you. A positive environment can shift your mindset and bring more joy into your daily life. I talk about building genuine connections, how to share knowledge. This is how we survive. This is how we heal. You ask me what would I tell you? This is what I would tell you. To educate yourself on what a narcissist is, to understand what boundaries are, to understand how I can change so I can figure out how to love myself, so I can understand what self-care is, so I can understand the importance of counseling and therapy. If you don't have a mechanism, if you don't have a way to learn about it, you can Google it. But if I'm telling you, I have so many tools to tell you what the cycle can look like. Acknowledging.
I posted that in the chat too on Facebook and YouTube. So follow Angels Haven on Instagram. Go to their website. Find a way to connect. So
I want to say this, and then you ask me what I would say. So I would say this: the cycle of breaking can look like this. Acknowledge your trauma. When you feel vulnerable, allowing your emotions to show. Not talking negatively about yourself. Setting boundaries with whomever. Apologizing to your children for your past mistakes. Right? Apologize to your children if you have children. Unlearning old beliefs that don't feel right for you. Modeling self-love and compassion. And recognizing your triggers and learning new coping skills. That's how we break the cycle. And there are so many other tools that is on our social media website. I mean, on our Instagram page. So many things that I can't put on the website, but we do have all our services on the website of what we offer. But this is why I created the Instagram page, not to get clickbait and to get 1 million followers. It was to help people to have something to go to right now instead of Googling and trying to figure out. It's all right there in a bunch of different posts. everything you need about how to cope or how to get out of domestic violence or who to call. It's just so important that we don't feel like we're in this alone, because you're not. You know, the Lord laid on David's heart to start this podcast for a reason, because he wanted to give David another outlet so people can start the healing journey and to know that they weren't on this road alone. He allowed David to live in his mother's womb for a time like this. This is and this is a time to heal. And it's a time to heal from the inside out. We have to.
That's probably a good place to wind down right there before I ugly cry.
I love you so much. And
I love you right back.
And I'm so proud of the work you're doing in, and guess what? Out the church. Right?
Yeah, that's what this is about. You don't have to come to the building to get the help.
But here's the deal. You're not just talking the talk. You are walking the walk, and it's so important. And it's not just on Wednesday nights, right? It's not just on Sunday morning. You're helping others. And this is what being a disciple is all about. You don't have to stand in the pulpit to do it. You can evangelize from your cell phone, right? And so I thank God for you. I thank God for your obedience. I thank God for you opening up this door. I really do. Yeah, this is a door that needed to be unlocked. And I thank God that you have walked through the door and that you're not alone, that you have a great support system in the beautiful Ashley, and your wonderful church. I can't wait for our reunion of our prayer group. I would love for us to get together again. But this has been wonderful for me. I just thank God that that it's not triggering for me anymore, and that and you said it, I'm still healing. Don't think that I'm all together and that I got it all together, because I don't. There's still things that bother me and hurt me. When I hear other women going through things that I've experienced, I relive it. Just hearing the things that Cassie's talking about, that's my story too. And so many women that will hear this is your story. So many gentlemen that are going to listen to this is your story. And don't feel ashamed, and don't feel like you can't get help, because you can. And don't feel like you have to stay in it, because you don't. But have a plan, right? We're going to be talking about that Wednesday, the escape plan. Well, we're going to be talking about that June 4th. To start putting a little bit of money aside. We're going to talk about that, how we can start putting a little bit of nest egg aside, and to navigate before we actually leave. We just don't want to walk out. We got to know what to do, because you don't want to get out there and then you don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I just left, but prayer, well, let's not leave Jesus out. For me, prayer changed things, and it was through God's grace and mercy that I had a great support system with my church and my pastor and my bishop. Hopefully you're going to be here in October. Reverend Renee is coming, so she'll be with us in person. She's going to be our keynote speaker in October. If you don't know,
I'll be healthy enough to do it.
I'm already claiming it and naming it. But even if you got to fly and not drive. But October is not just Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it is October Awareness Month. But I don't just do domestic violence in October. I don't just talk about it in October. I talk about it January through December. And I talk about it 24 hours, 7 days a week. My cell phone is always on. If the number is on the website, but you can reach out to me. I will call you back. If you leave a message, if you text me, I'll text you back. I don't just do this. I don't just do this for fun. I do this for you to live. I do this for you to survive. I do this for you to conquer domestic violence, and not just survive, but to live and enjoy life on this side. Because I know when I get to heaven what I'm going to be doing. I already know. But I'm talking about on this side. You can experience. You don't have to keep walking around on eggshells. You don't have to be afraid and scared to go home. I would work so much because I didn't want to go home. Your home should be your peace. But we have to learn what that is and feel like we deserve that. And you deserve peace. Man or woman, boy or girl, you deserve peace. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be hugged. You deserve to be treated special. You deserve to be told that you are worth it and you are enough, regardless of what he said, regardless of what she said, regardless of what mama said, regardless of what daddy did, or uncle or auntie or Jim Bob. You are not what they did to you. You are not.
That's so good. That's so good. That's what we're here for, y'all. That's why we're doing this. That's why I said, April, you're one of the first people who came to my mind to be here, and I just appreciate you being so transparent and sharing your heart, your passion with our small and growing audience. And you know me, that my goal is not to blow up and be famous and have 1 million people. I want us to be able to know that if you got to talk to somebody, somebody will be there to talk to you. That's why Angel's Haven is here. That's why Broken for This is here. That's why April and David are here, because we're never so big. We're not trying to get so big that we can't reach out and touch, help, and be there. So we're not just faces on a screen. We're people who live this thing and want to help you. And I want, I just want to, again, just say thank you so much, April. Thank you for saying yes and lending your voice and your story to this. Domestic violence is something that's very close to my heart. But it is just know if you're watching this and you're on the verge and you're like, man, I don't know. If you don't want to talk to us, I put in the text line. You can text begin to 88788 or call 1-800-799-SAFE, 799-7233, and find the help that you need. You don't have to live like that.
Mm-mm.
We don't want you to. We want to help you.
You don't have to suffer in silence. And I'm here to end domestic violence. And it's one person at a time. And there's a cliche, one day at a time. You know what my motto is? 1 second at a time. Let me just get through this second. 24 hours is a long time. You're talking about a whole day. Let me just get through the next moment. Please, ma'am or sir.
Yes.
No, it is possible. And it's not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say it's easy, but I'm going to tell you this, it's worth it.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Well, April, I'm going to let you get back to your evening. I'm going to go get back to mine, but I am just over the moon.
Well, I'm over the moon.
I'm just so grateful.
I thank God for you. Bless this new beginning for you. I'm so proud of you. I encourage you to keep going, even when you don't want to. I encourage you, even when you don't have anything, you think you don't have anything to talk about. Trust me, you do. Trust me, you do. It's so many topics. It's so many people out here who are suffering in silence, who are hurting, who don't even know why they were broken for this. But I'm telling you, I thank God that you are changing lives and that you are helping people live. And you thought that you were trained to do what you were doing when you were getting paid to do it in the military. Didn't know that you were being set up to continue to help people who were hurting. And so the old people, the cliche people that hurt people, you know what? Hurt people also help people.
Well,
and we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're living witnesses. So keep doing what
that's the truth.
I wish you success in all your endeavors. You know I'm here for you. Hugs and love to you. Hug your beautiful wife for me. Tell her I said hello. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you will.
And also, Pastor David is our guest in June.
Oh yeah, I am.
That is June 28th, the last Saturday in June. Pastor David will be our guest, so please come on. And any Wednesday at 6:30, feel free to join us on Zoom. We are here to help. We're here for you. And again,
Amen.
come on out because it's worth it. Peace is here.
Wonderful.
Love
That's
you.
what we say at Broken for This. That's what we do. We help you to heal, learn, grow.
And guess what? We love you and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Hey, that's it, y'all. It's about love. We want to see you heal, learn, grow, and be better from your trauma. So we're going to sign off here. And you know what? I'm going to drop a Zoom link in here. I wasn't sure if I was going to.
Okay.
I am. I'm going to drop a Zoom link in here just in case there's anybody watching live who wants to come on, who needs someone to talk to right now.
Yep.
And if there isn't anybody, I'll sit in there for a minute. That's fine.
Okay.
But I am going to go ahead and drop a Zoom link in the live chat. Just even if this, and maybe you hadn't been commenting and you had whatever, but I want to live the thing that we just said. So we're going to sign off. I'm going to step into that Zoom room and just give you a moment just in case.
Yep.
If you're fine, great. But I want to live it. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, April. I love you. And to all of you, we look forward Tuesday at 6:00. I'll be going to my next letter to my father. This one talks about the pain of a broken family.
All right.
So Tuesday at 6, right here on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll be back. And like April said it, man, that's why I say it all the time, and I mean it. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. God bless your family. Thank you again, April. We'll see y'all soon.
All right. Good night,
Take
everyone.
care, everybody.
Okay.